Hey, Tuesday night, Total Schmidt Show, 6 o'clock. Let's do this.
Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of pianists, piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at.
That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe, I don't know. And weekly? Nah, maybe. Sort of.
Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of Schmidt Show.
Hey, Lenny Schmidt, what's up? Welcome to Total Schmidt Show. How you doing? There's people yelling at me. Hey, Lenny Schmidt, thanks for coming to Total Schmidt Show. Guys, do me a favor. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Like the video. Do that before you know it sucks. Do that. Look above me, there's information for the Twitter stuff and the social media. Below me, there's information for the finances and all that stuff. Please do that. I'm a little bit drunk. I'm in St. Thomas. Today's guest is Dan Gabriel. Very funny comic. Awesome stuff. Had a great week working with him on a ship. And now you get a chance to talk to him and see him and check out all his stuff. Again, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Also, Patreon page. All that information is located below. I'm in England. I'm in the Virgin Islands and the ports. The drive on the left here is messing me up right now. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit drunk, folks. Give it up for the one and only. Sit back and watch my conversation with my good friend Dan Gabriel. Thank you.
I think that at the airport, at the security checkpoint at the airport, they should have a bucket. So when you're going to go through and you don't want to throw away your whatever you can't have, you know, lighter, bottle of water, shaving cream, you can put it in the bucket. And then when somebody coming off of one of the planes needs a bottle of water or lighter, or shaving cream, free in the bucket. Yeah, good idea. I also think they should put a doctor next to the x-ray machine, so when you go through, he can tell you if there's anything wrong inside of you. Right? As long as they're scanning you, I might as well tell you stuff. Doctor be like, hey, have a good trip. Seriously, man, live your life.
What's your name again?
My name is Dan Gabriel, and I race for Formula One.
Were you watching that? Did you watch it again? Were you watching?
I've watched all of the episodes.
Oh, you've been watching the golf thing.
I was watching the golf thing, and it was making me miss the F1 thing.
Oh, really?
And it's funny because I'm talking to Steve, and we've been texting back and forth about the golf thing, and I digested the golf thing in like 2 days. I went through all the episodes, but it's just not as good as the F1 show because the stakes are so much lower as far as live.
Between golf,
you know what I mean? Like you mess up a little bit this way, like
I shanked
you
it.
take out a whole, yeah, you know, like you can yeah, I guess just the pressure on the F1 drivers, it just makes it more for better TV.
Yeah, no, you would think absolutely. I watched. I think I told you I watched that movie Gran Turismo,
yeah,
with my daughter, which it brought it to a whole new. And I watched other racing movies too. Where what was the movie? The one with Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, Days of Thunder.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Days
good
of
one.
Thunder. It's
really
yeah,
good.
Top Gun in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Top Gun in a car, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But this is that's NASCAR, and this is this Formula One.
Right.
Because I tried watching the NASCAR show on Netflix, and it's not as good as the Formula One show. I don't know.
Right.
The Formula One show. I mean, those are the little rocket ships, you know, that are going around this weird. It's the game Pole Position.
Yeah, it's the game they put in a city.
Yeah,
like
they put it in a city, and there used
France,
to
right?
only be one in America, but now because of the Netflix show, there's 4 in America.
Right, and there was that one. The first one was Vegas. Is that
yes?
one?
And they took over the Vegas Strip, and they went down the Vegas Strip, and it's you know, if you think about like each one of those, there's only 20 seats. There's only 20 cars.
Right.
And each team has 2.
That's insane.
Each team has two. It gets to make 2 cars for 2 drivers, and that's all there is. And so those seats are fought over.
Yeah.
And teams buy other drivers, like steal them away poach them from other teams.
Right.
And it gets nasty. And it's there's 1,000 people working for each team making those cars.
Right.
And it all comes down to this one dude
that's driving it.
That's driving over 200 miles an hour around this, around turns, and if they're wheel to wheel, and it's just, the stakes are higher.
Yeah, is that on Netflix? That one?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, and it's really good. And it's when that episode, that new season came out last week, and
did you get through it?
Oh man, so fast. I've started rewatching it because the golf one's good because I play golf.
Yeah,
but they're all millionaires, and they're all their wives are just 11s.
Sure,
and
these crazy models.
And they're all and because of the Live Tour, they've started to take hundreds of millions of dollars for it, and you just I'm not as I don't bond with them I just their problems don't mean as much to me.
No, that doesn't register.
Yeah, but then you see the dude in the F1 go through a wall and catch on fire.
Yeah, at least there's a yin and yang. I'm sure they're making a lot of money. Obviously, they got to be making a ton of money. The drivers,
yeah, but they're earning it.
That's what I'm saying. The risk factor is way higher.
Exactly, and with golf, there's hundreds of golfers who are professional golfers and are one way or another on different tours making it. But there's 20 of those guys, and there's only 20 seats, and that
those gotta be the cockiest guys in the world.
Yeah, but they're superheroes, man.
Sure,
they do this thing. They do this crazy thing on the daily and try to outdo 19 other guys. That's their whole job, is to just take this thing faster than they can possibly.
Dude, what if that was your adrenaline rush every day? Can you? I don't know. I can't fathom living with that.
If you needed that.
Yeah, because if you live that life and then you do it all the time, you know what I mean? That's just that's a whole different level.
Well, also it's like a weekend long thing, because the first day they get to just sample the track and see how it feels, and then the next day they all have to do it by themselves, and it's timed.
Right.
And the lowest time gets the front of the grid.
Sure.
And that's how the grid is
them?
set up, is how fast you went through the track when there was nobody else.
Okay.
And then they all got to do it
with
everybody else doing it at the same time.
Right.
And that's that's brutal, right?
Yeah, your mind's gonna move at a crazy high speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the reaction, to everything. You know what I mean?
I never cared about any of the racing before. I never was a fan of any of it.
Right.
And for a long time, a buddy of mine was like, "You should check out this show on Netflix. You should check out this show." And one day I was out of other stuff to watch, and I started watching it, and now I'm a big fan.
Okay. All right, maybe that'll be one of the shows. I'm working my way through. There's a couple of the shows. I want to watch that movie you brought up. I almost watched that last night.
Oh yeah, Stupid and Futile Gesture.
Yeah,
you'd love it, because it's really inside baseball. I mean, it's really like show business. If you're in, you're gonna know.
Yeah,
you're gonna know half of the cast.
Right. I love all that behind the scenes shit though. Here's how this show.
Exactly.
Like I even kind of like. Did you ever watch Aaron Sorkin's show on Sunset Strip?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, I did.
I like that.
It's funny because that show and 30 Rock came out at the same time, and they were basically both about making Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and the vibes were different.
Completely different vibes. Yeah. One of them was a half-hour funny, and one of them was a 60-minute Aaron Sorkin drama. Like, we're gonna make a drama, and 30 Rock prevailed.
Yeah.
It was like
when it was funny.
Yeah, it's funny that like. Which one ends up being
weird,
the one?
And I love Sorkin. I love his work. I love all the stuff he's done. And when that show first, at some point, there was certain things that were unbelievable. Like when Matthew Perry, that
looks
was
at
writing
one
the whole
script
show.
and goes, "That's like, you're funny," or like he just like looked at one thing and went, "Oh, you're hired."
Or anything what's her name did was gold. They put on an arch like, no one's as funny as. And they had a writing stuff. Ennis was on that show. Where John Ennis was one of the guys. He was one of the writers on that show.
Oh, was he?
Or he was the writer cast.
Yeah.
And then they got fired.
Yeah.
But where it lost me kind of is when Perry was writing the whole episodes by himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
And also like If I remember correctly, it seemed like there were 3 cast members.
Yeah, it got to a point right where it was.
There weren't 10 cast members. It was like
Perry,
the one dude and
what's her name?
the
Sarah Paulson?
lady. Yeah, Sarah Paulson. And the one dude, I don't know his name, but
there was another guy. It wasn't William H. Macy, right? Because he did a sports night with them. He didn't do that show.
Yeah, he didn't do that. Sports Night I loved. Sports Night was great. Remember when Sports Night went from no laugh track, or from laugh track to no laugh track?
Yeah, it got way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like MASH.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big believer. Like, it's hard to rate shows, I think. Yeah. But I still, to this day, think MASH is the best show that's ever been on TV.
Really?
I love it.
That's a bold statement.
It is. It is. And any show, and another show I think that's not, I don't know if it's a close second, but I think that's up there, is Rescue Me. Any show that can make me cry and really hurt and then laugh really hard within about a 2 or 3 minute time period.
Yeah.
MASH and Rescue Me both did those things to me.
Yeah.
A lot, like weekly sometimes. And Rescue Me was longer. It was a 48-minute episode. It was an hour episode or whatever. And MASH was just the 22-minute script, that's why it's brilliant.
Yeah.
In 22 minutes to do those highs and lows were just powerful sometimes.
Yeah, MASH, it's funny because it was about the Korean War, which only lasted a couple of years, but MASH was on for like 11 years.
Right.
Like...
right. And I know people there was a bunch of stuff. I know people that saw the movie and hated the show. I know the guy who wrote it hated the show.
Really?
Yeah, the guy who wrote the book hated the show. He never thought it should have been a TV show.
I think that you can appreciate them separately.
Yeah,
and
they are different.
You can love both of them separately. Yes. It's like you can love Bon Scott and Brian Johnson separately. Yeah. You don't have to compare them. Like, just let them live separately.
Well, I was like that with David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar too. I was a huge Van Halen fan.
Yeah.
And people left when Roth left. But I looked at them, to me, they were 2 different bands.
Yeah.
They were totally. But
did you hear what I said the other night when you brought me on?
No, what did you say?
Yeah,
oh, no, you did. You tagged right when you brought me. You went to Van Halen with one.
I went, keep it going.
Did you hear me in the back?
Yeah.
I lost it, dude.
Yeah, because I went, and it was David.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Yeah. That's why I was laughing over that. It was David.
While you were laughing, I went, and it was David.
That's hilarious. That's very funny. That's good. That's a true story. It was David, too. It was the Fair Warning tour.
Yeah, I mean, that was a minute ago.
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I thought they were 2 different bands.
Yeah, completely.
And AC/DC, they were almost. But if you were a Bon Scott purist, Brian wasn't that much of a leap from Bon Scott, too much.
Yeah, definitely, because the first album is all just a tribute to Bon.
Yeah.
You know, and he's kind of taken that screaming thing up, like a little bit of a higher.
Back in
pitch.
Black?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, he took Bon's voice kind of you know.
Yeah.
He took what Bon was doing, but kind of cranked it up a little bit. Yeah, and make it even harder to scream.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at Sammy. I thought Sammy's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you went and saw an every Van Halen song concert, you close on the Dave songs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, no matter how good the Sammy songs are, we're closing on Jump.
Right.
You know.
Well, I went and saw them play. I went and saw them with Sharon. They did one album with Gary Sharon.
The guy from Extreme.
Yeah, because him and Alex.
Which is the least extreme band.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly. Right there, the one song, the guitar song. Right. So, and then Alex's wife and his wife were best friends. So then Alex became friends with him, and then when Sammy left, they brought Gary did the one album with them, and when it came out, it's brilliant. I don't know what's wrong with it because I was such a Eddie fan. Whatever he did, it's brilliant. Yeah. So now I go back and listen to it and go, a lot of this album is not brilliant. I mean, Eddie's great, and his work is phenomenal.
Eddie's Eddie.
But I went to that tour because at that particular time, Sharon wanted to do, and they did do all the old Dave stuff, and they weren't doing that with Sammy anymore. So I drove. Yeah. I was working the Pittsburgh Funny Bone, and the only chance I could see him was in Cleveland on Sunday. So I finished my show, drove up, hit Cleveland, saw the show, and left right from the show and drove all the way home from Cleveland to Chicago, just jamming on Van Halen, jacked up from the concert because I was so excited. You know what I mean?
How was he singing the David stuff?
It was good. He was good. I was excited because it was the first time I'd seen the Dave stuff in years.
Yeah.
And I had seen Sammy solo a couple times before, and then I saw Sammy with Van Halen. You know what I mean? So I liked. Like I said, I thought they were 2 different bands.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see some of that stuff, like "Feel You Tonight." All the stuff from the first album was big. It was epic. I mean, the first album was epic.
Yeah.
And I've always been a huge Eddie fan. I mean, everything he's done.
Eddie's Eddie.
He did a couple of soundtracks. I got that stuff. I can't remember the name of that song. My brother knows it. I can't. It's a really crazy soundtrack. It's all guitar stuff. I'll go down a YouTube hole of Eddie Van Halen for hours. and just watch him in the studio talking to people and doing stuff and recording.
Is it true that he couldn't read music, or like at first he couldn't read music?
You know what?
He
I
was
bet
just doing it from just his ear.
I believe that's correct, and I want to say it's correct because he also early on was kind of invented his sound because he didn't have money, so he never used, like, one of the big things with him is he doesn't use a distortion paddle. So when guys look at his rig or whatever, they go, "Where's your distortion paddle?" Because I don't use one. He goes, "How are you doing? How is that possible?" Well, here, I'll show you. And he shows him, and no one can do it. Like, there's stories of endless guys. Yeah. Ted Nugent, he's like, "Fuck you, I'll show you. Let me use your rig." And he couldn't get the sound. He got mad. "God, son of a bitch!" And no one could do what Eddie did with the guitar. Because Eddie had to do it because he didn't have any money. And he just rigged his guitars to sound a certain way.
Is it Eddie on Beat It?
Yeah.
And didn't he, like, not charge anything for that?
Didn't
he, like, give it away?
Yeah, I think he just kind of... There's another guitarist in there, too, that he does it
That's ridiculous. That's that whole... It keeps the whole song together.
Well, the whole... Yeah, that and the solo's great is him, but then the whole... You hear them kicking in the solo part.
Yeah.
You know...
Yeah.
And it's just... It's epic. It's an epic... And he would play... I saw him play that in concert a couple of times. He didn't do it a lot. He didn't work it into his main solo thing.
Yeah.
Because his solo was mainly a compilation of all his stuff.
Yeah.
It was 316, and then it became Cathedral and all the other songs. It was heavy guitar.
Still, he should have got paid for that song.
I think it was Diver Down. I saw him do it, and it was great because you know immediately what it is. If you know him really well, you know the tap sound at the beginning. You hear donk 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 donk, and everyone's like, he's doing beat it, and the place goes nuts. But yeah, he was epic. They were great. They were a great band. You get into that age now. How old are you?
I am 48 years old.
All right. I'm about 11, 12 years older than you. At the age now where you're starting to see your heroes die, and you're getting in a point where you won't see this guy play live again. You won't see this happen. You won't see this happen. Like, I'm a Springsteen fan. He's coming to town in a few weeks. And I'm like, I think I got to go see him. I don't think I'm going to see Bruce again. I don't think they're going to tour anymore. They had to cancel the last tour 3 times because people were getting sick.
Yeah.
And I was there before, dude. I went to the first concert in L.A. after Clarence and Gary died.
Yeah.
And I bawled at that concert.
Yeah.
A dozen
I was
times.
thinking about when Clarence died. I heard it on the radio on the way to school with my son, and my son goes, "Oh, well, that's sad that the horn player in E Street Band died." And I go, "Yeah, that's really sad, but." That dude had the best life ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's rest in peace, dude. But like, best life. Getting to be the horn player in E Street Band.
Are you kidding me?
Can you think of a better life?
No. No. And Springsteen kind of worshipped him. He built him up to be the big man.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing.
I would argue he was like, it maybe Bruce and then little Stevie and then Clarence. You know, as far as like.
Oh, it was an epic. Yeah, I'm a big fan of those guys, and I watch. I've seen them. God, I don't know how many times I've seen Springsteen. I saw him. I've had great seats, first row, Soldier Field, General Admission. I saw him on the Born in the USA tour.
Did you see his like solo Broadway thing?
No, I didn't.
I heard it was great.
I heard it's phenomenal too. I just, you know what? I'm also at the point now. I don't know if this sounds lame or not. It costs so much money to go see this shit now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I got to pick and choose what I got to do.
Yeah.
Then the Springsteen show alone is going to cost me $400 or $500 if I go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to find anything cheaper. I'm going to see the Blackhawks in 2 weeks. That's going to cost. That's a hockey game. It's $200 and something dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, just to go out.
But you have to weigh how rare the experience is versus the money, because you know, like my a couple of years ago, Steve said, "Hey, I can get us Paul McCartney tickets at these Dodger Stadium. Do you want?" And I called my wife and I was like, "Listen, it's they're not cheap. The tickets are not going to be cheap.
Yeah,
but when are we ever gonna get to You know what I mean? And Steve had a hookup, and we were 20th row at Dodger Stadium.
Dude.
Watching Paul McCartney.
I would have loved to see that.
And
Dude,
5 rows in front of us was Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, kidding me? Yeah. He's surrounded by celebrities. You don't even give a shit.
Yeah,
like,
none of us care.
Because
we're all too busy staring at a god. Yeah, and then Ringo walked out to play a song with him, and we lost our minds.
Yeah.
And then Joe Walsh walked out, and we went, Joe, you should have come first.
Yeah,
because then now
you're breaking the arc. You're kind of going up and down. Well, that's what's cool. One of the cool things about living in LA is anytime someone comes to town, someone's coming out to play with them. every single time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I've seen same thing with Springsteen. So when he comes out, and when I saw Billy Joel at the Garden, that's another good place to go see someone in New York.
Yeah.
The night I was there, Bon Jovi came out with him. I mean, somebody comes out all the time. Someone's always in town. They live there. You know?
Yeah.
It's great. But you're right. You got to weigh the options, because I've passed on shows before, but I didn't know. Like I passed on Stevie Ray Vaughan the night he died. He left that night, and there's a helicopter crash. Yeah, and I was supposed to go see that show, and I was like, I'll see him next time. And I was like, son of a bitch. And that was not long after I had tickets to see Led Zeppelin when Bonham died. I had that tour.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I had tickets in 78, 79 from there. So I had tickets to go see them.
It's crazy how the other three never tried to replace John. You know, like...
Yeah, I think at that point they had grown so far apart, especially Plant. They were interesting characters. Like I've
read a lot of stuff about those guys,
and they definitely went in different, like the Beatles did in a lot of ways.
I mean, but they had to be the first ones to experience so many different levels of stardom. You know what I mean? Like they were so huge at a time where nobody was really watching you with a phone or anything. You know what I mean? They got away with so
You can't do any of that shit anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, even the early Van Halen stuff is like there was no cell phones and shit around then, but it's when the phones came. You know what I mean? It's like now I don't know how these guys survive.
It's a different world. Nobody was trying to take them off of their pedestal either. Nobody was trying to.
Yeah, there was there was a celebrity thing, like a paparazzi thing back then, but not nearly what it became. Like when TMZ blew up and a lot of the shit that Princess Diana and all those people went through. There was a restaurant I worked at in LA, and it was next to a club that was it was one of those hang. And if you know anything about the setup of the paparazzi, a lot of it is fixed. A lot of it is set up where the celebrities,
the publicist will call and go,
they know
hey,
it's all
you
right.
know,
Paris Hilton will be there from 8 to 9.
Walking out of the restaurant at 9:30.
Right. So a lot of times, and we would have guys would have crate. I mean, you would know they'd show up. We had guys that come in to drink in our bar. We wouldn't let the paparazzi in, but they'd be taking pictures outside. And I would tell people to get out of the driveway or move, and they would get mad. They'd, you know who I am? I'm on TMZ all the time. I'm like, I don't care who you are. You can't be in the restaurant.
You're a guy in my way right now.
Yeah, you gotta go. And they're just trying to have dinner. Can you just fucking leave right now? Yeah. So, but there were some people that wanted that and some that didn't. And there was we had a private entrance to the restaurant and a private dining room, and we used that a lot. Our guys would come in and use that.
Yeah.
Snoop would go in there and use it. He made a mistake and walked into the dining room by mistake one day, and it was insane. But
Madhouse. Yeah.
He was the nicest guy in the world. He signed autographs and stuff, and he just kind of, most guys went the back way because they can't go anywhere. But this whole setup thing is, and then some of them live that life. That's their life. Celebrity, who is the Paris Hilton, and their life is being the Kardashians for a while. Their whole thing is showing up.
They don't have actual skills.
That's
they
their
don't
only.
Have their whole their job is showing up and just taking photos.
That's it.
There's no like.
And what do they wear? And somebody gives them something to wear.
Putting out albums.
Huh?
Yes. Snoop puts out albums.
Yeah, of course. And he's an artist.
And produces all kinds of...
Besides all the other great things he does as a human, did you read that football story about him recently? He's got this football league he runs in L.A. for kids. And he's got at least 10 to 12 kids that have come out and they're gone on the NFL. I mean, it's just a great story about helping kids.
I love Snoop. I was thinking about this the other day. Snoop is more famous now than Snoopy.
That's correct. That's a correct statement. More people don't know who Snoop
Dogg is than who Snoopy is.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where he got his name.
Oh, that's really funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember thinking that about Sinbad.
Oh, really? Oh, right on. That's good. That's the same. That's good. Perfect. Anyway, this was a good week, brother. It was great to finally. It was great to see. I met you before, I think, in Ventura at one of those showcases. But it was nice to see you work all week.
Yeah,
time on the ship.
And when I realized this week that I had met you 20 years ago when I first moved to LA, and Dave Rath took me to softball.
Oh, that's right, the Contra thing.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I was terrible. I just was out of practice and was showing up and trying to keep up.
It was really.
And it was. I think
there was a handful of guys that were really good.
Yeah.
And Brody and some other guys. We had a couple minor league guys that played.
I miss Brody.
Yeah, that guy, he was a blast.
Brody was so fun.
Yeah.
Every time Brody showed up in a room, I was so excited to watch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to stand in left field and just scream, "I'm a baseball player!" Just,
Yeah.
That's how last time I saw him was at the Improv, and I was standing at the bar, and he was having dinner. And I just heard him go, Lenny Schmidt! And you know the voice right away.
Yeah.
I went over and sat down with him for a while. Did you see that mural of him up there?
I live down the street from that mural.
That's
every
cool.
time I
Thanks,
walk
Starbucks.
every time I drive past that mural, I wave at Brody.
That's cool.
And I eat at that restaurant, and it's okay food, but I just want to support them.
Yeah, I would in a heartbeat.
because they have this huge mural.
Does he own that
Brody.
building? The restaurant, do they own the building, or they just?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I played golf with Wrath a few months ago, and we ate their lunch thereafter.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I know it's the Firehouse restaurant.
Yeah.
And it should be supported.
Right on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to go check it out.
But yeah, comic softball. It was so fun. But it's a lot of pressure when there's a bunch of comics ready to razz you when you
Dude, the ball
drop
thing
one.
was intense on that game.
Yeah.
The best thing about that game, it would get, like you said, it was more serious than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, we would go out for drinks, and we got along fine. There was never none of that animosity carried on past the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It stayed on the field, and something would happen, and somebody would, don't start, and it would turn into a lot of Boston guys, a lot of yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was once the game was over. This is the one thing I loved about that game. I was still friends with most of those guys to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I talked to a lot of them.
Yeah. I'm glad that you don't remember how I played.
I don't remember how I played. I was not good. I was not pleased. A lot of us just filled a position. We had a couple of guys that were really bad that didn't play, but then later as the game dragged on, there was 5 to 8 young kids that started playing who were athletes.
Ballers.
Oh, they were athletes. I mean, this kid Kieran that played minor league ball, and he threw me out at third once. I always tell the stories. I remember I hit first base and look, and the ball's, I hit it down the right field line. He's playing right. He's running for the ball. I'm approaching second. He's 10, 15 feet from the ball. I go, I'm just going to take third. I got plenty. I turn, take 10 feet. I just turn around and look at him. He's just standing there and looking at me. Why would you even try to take third? Like I'm an idiot. But yeah, he was a machine, man.
Well, 9 out of 10 times the third baseman doesn't make that catch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's coming, it's skipping off of the ground. He's not going to make that pick.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's just going to hit you.
Yeah. Yeah. I did that once. I was catching once first. I was playing. There was a guy playing center field, and it was a deep throw, and there was a play at the plate, and I was catching. He throws from center deep, and it was a perfect throw. I mean, it was dead on, and I couldn't handle it. I just dropped the ball. I could hear him cussing, God damn it! He was mad at me. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, you got a point. Sorry. I just couldn't hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got to catch it, and you got to hold on to it while somebody's sliding into you.
I'm 40
and that's
years
a
old,
lot
dude.
of
I'm
things.
not that guy.
You have to do them all in that order.
Yeah.
If you get ahead of yourself, if you start thinking about the tag before you make the catch, then you screw up the catch.
Yeah.
And then the tag is blown.
Yeah.
Or you swipe and the ball falls out.
Right. Thank you. That's multiple
There's a
things.
lot of.
I mean, there's
a
variables.
lot of.
Yeah.
You need to do like 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, he did a great throw, but basically he just boom, and
he
that's
got
it.
lucky.
Yes.
And you didn't even know he was going to make that
I didn't think he
throw.
would.
You
I mean,
didn't
there's no
think
way he's making this throw.
And it was probably curving.
It was.
Like, you thought it was going to hit the dugout, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, it's making its way.
Right, that's why I was like, oh god, that's a good throw. Oh
Yeah.
god. And I immediately knew, I go, if I drop this, he's going to be pissed. I remember thinking that right before the ball came in.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's like that.
Yeah, you can't be thinking that while you're
there's too
trying
much
to
going
do the other thing, because then you're not.
Yeah. And then I'm just shrugging. I go, dude, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah, I tell my son that about baseball. I'm like, if you're thinking about how you're doing something while you're doing it, then you're only half doing it.
Yeah, right. That's true.
You know?
It's talk about being in the moment. Being in the moment, and if you're good and you're an athlete, your body just moves the way it's supposed to move. It's like it's a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you fall back on your training.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why guys practice the same shit over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And they're really good at it.
Yeah. Well, it's like comedy. It's like some nights you really don't want to do it.
Right.
And you fall back into it's how well can you phone it in?
Yeah.
How well can you?
How well can I make this look like I'm trying to be good?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Especially when I'll do these runs where I'll do 3 months heavy of ships, and I'll be like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. I'm just burnt out. I mean, every week, 10 shows or whatever.
Yeah. You're separated from the words.
Yeah.
You're just not even thinking about the words anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have to wake myself up in the middle of a set and be like, think about it while you're saying it.
There was a moment that happened last night when I was trying to remember material. But that's why I got 2 weeks off technically, 1 whole week off for sure, where I'm not going to do shit. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah.
So I can just kind of chill.
It's nice because then when you come back, you're
a little fresh.
happy to hear your jokes. Your jokes are old friends.
Yeah, and you get a little,
And you get to
skip in
visit.
your step. And
Yeah.
I got some cool spots the week after that. I got the improv, and I got the gig I run, and I got some, and I'll work on now I start working on new material.
Yeah.
And that's how I start to feel fresh again. I feel kind of rejuvenated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that helps.
Yeah, your style is it's very conversational. It's really I've enjoyed watching you
Thank you, man.
because I mean, I felt like, especially on the Late Show last night, you just connected with the people on such a deep level.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
You know
like
what? Some
it
of
was you were getting into the weeds on some growing up shit that
Right.
not everybody feels comfortable talking about, and
Right.
and you were making it funny and making
Yeah, that's-
everybody kind of bond over it.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think, for her, first of all, it's a big compliment because a big chunk of that I haven't done in maybe 3 months. Because I've been doing celebrity where you only do theater shows. You only do 3.
Yeah.
I'm doing a third adult show or whatever here of material I haven't done.
Yeah.
Stuff I haven't done, especially the oldest stuff. I go, I'll do this bit.
And that was the stuff you did. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
The stuff you were doing was more club stuff anyway. It was more like, hey, we're telling secrets in this small room.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff I can bounce off the people, and it's set up where I bring them in and bring them out, and where I call in the kid. I forgot a line. In fact, I got to find which one I forgot with the kid or late in the show that worked out great. But also the shifting works to your advantage on this line, especially when you're doing multiple shows. Like you said, by the end of the week, they know who you are.
Yeah.
So you have a chance to open up and connect with them.
Yeah, and they're happy that you did because they are, at this point, they've watched us so many times that they're a little bit invested and they want to know more.
Yeah.
They want to know. Yeah, they want to know the inside. Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, no, they dig that too, and then they feel like they know you. So if they know you, if you have a personality, they kind of can react to the way you react to something.
Yeah.
Or they'll react to. It's almost like a sitcom level, wherein a character says something, you know immediately how the other character's going to respond.
Yeah.
Like the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, exactly.
Where she would walk in and sit down, and everyone would go, "Oh my God, this is going to be a thing." Or the dad, same thing.
Yeah.
When what's his name, Peter Boyle would. A line, they'd just go to him and he'd be sitting there and you'd be, or Archie Bunker. I mean, a real good
they
sitcom.
could just get a laugh just off of a look.
Sure.
Just because everybody
knows.
dialed into their character and they
Yeah.
know exactly what's coming. They
Yeah.
don't even have to. Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Brilliant setup stuff. And the same thing like in Laverne and Shirley when they would say something, they would set up the Lenny and Squiggy entrance every episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was always something weird. What moron would do that? Hello. And it was like,
Yeah.
And I've watched a compilation of those forever. They're hilarious.
It's funny because Michael McKean, had such a great career.
Right.
And Squiggy, what happened to Squiggy?
Just went off sideways. You know what I mean?
But Lenny, man, Michael McKean, what a great career that guy had.
Well, Michael, he had a heavy improv background, so I think he was a grounding guy, but he did a lot. Yeah, plus he was tight. Wasn't he Christopher Guest?
He was a Christopher Guest guy. He was a Spinal Tap.
Sure, yeah.
He's one of the Spinal Tap guys. That's,
And he's done everything from being like a bad guy, villain. I mean, he's layered. He's a very good actor,
And
too.
in Better Call Saul, he's the brother.
Oh, is he really?
He's the
Yeah,
brother.
that's the next show I gotta
Oh
watch.
man, you gotta watch Better Call Saul. Yeah, he's the brother. It's like he got to have this great character, with several seasons, and
That's pretty cool. Yeah, he's done a million things. That guy, it's David something, right? I can't remember his last name, but he passed away, 5 years ago, maybe?
Squiggy?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember when he
Squiggy.
passed. Yeah, the guy who plays Squiggy.
Yeah.
But I remember when he passed away because McKean said something about it, and they made some nice statements and moments and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he disappeared. You know who else disappeared was the guy they played Carmine Ragu, right? Did he? Also, sometimes these guys don't.
Carmine.
So he was the Fonz of that show.
Yeah.
He would do the entrance.
Yeah.
He would do the song before he came in.
Yeah.
I've gone from rags to riches.
I never realized that they brought him in to be the Fonz of that show.
Yeah, I don't think
they needed.
Yeah, I don't know if they brought him in to be that type because he was the guy that if he did something, everyone would go, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ragu." It's the Ragu, you know what I mean? That type of thing.
But it's when I was a kid watching that show, I didn't realize certain formulas and why certain things were doing. I thought that we just had different strokes and Webster.
Sure.
I didn't realize.
You didn't realize
that,
the patterns or the
templates. Like they saw that different strokes was working and went out and found Webster.
Right. Yeah, and the Fonzie one kind of got away from Happy Days because he wasn't supposed to be as big a character as he was when it came out.
Yeah.
You
Same
know?
thing with Family Matters and Urkel. He was just the neighbor. And
Was he?
And then it became
That's
the
funny. I
Urkel
didn't know
show.
that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it wasn't about him at the beginning.
Yeah,
he
and then he
he
became-
hijacked that show.
Well, what are you gonna do, man? If something hits, you know, and then the writers just go, "We could go with that."
Or are smart enough to realize that that's the thing that is.
Well, you have a decision to make.
Hitting.
True, and to Ron Howard's credit, you know what I mean? That was kind of supposed to be his show.
Yeah.
And then they pulled him aside at the first year and said, you know, we're thinking about doing this. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And became what it became.
Yeah.
That was another show that it was a one camera thing the first season or two, right?
Happy
Single
Days?
camera? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was shot almost like the American Graffiti.
Um,
Kind of.
Was it?
Kind of.
I don't remember.
The first
that.
season or two was a lot of outdoor stuff at Arnold's and a lot of stuff on the bikes.
Okay.
And a lot of one camera stuff.
Oh, and then it just became.
And then it became a
just the
multi-camera
set.
sitcom.
Yeah. But it's. I always think about what a great actor Henry Winkler was for just taking this character, and he believed it so much. Actors that believe their role so much that it makes sense because they're just nailing it.
Yeah,
He doesn't look necessarily like this tough guy.
Right.
You know.
No, he didn't look like a tough guy at all. But that's why he's such a brilliant actor and he's been around so long. Like sitcoms, a lot of times a show will do really well and a guy will fall into a pattern and that's the role he's going to play forever. He's not going to play anything much different than that.
Yeah.
And Henry Winkler has found a way to keep his essence, but go on and look at the stuff he did with Barry.
Barry was great.
It was a great show.
And he won an Emmy for Barry.
Oh my God,
the
it was
first
brilliant.
Emmy he'd ever won.
I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah,
That's really weird.
Like you never got an award for Fonz,
Can't believe
but
that. That's funny.
yeah, and he was fantastic in Barry.
And did you ever see Night Shift with Michael Keaton?
I love that movie.
That's such a great movie.
Yeah, that was like the beginning of the Michael
Keaton, that was his big break, that got him to be who he was.
I just
Because
showed
Henry
my
was
sons,
huge at the time.
I just showed my sons Johnny Dangerously.
I love that movie. Mary Lou Henner, Joe Piscopo, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
To this day,
my daddy hit me once.
This day, whenever fireworks start going off, I go, "Looks like Johnny's getting laid."
I forget how great that movie is. That's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Yeah.
I wonder if my daughters are like that movie. I don't know.
It's just along the same lines as like Naked Gun or Airplane, or
Right.
it's just that kind of slapsticky.
Yeah, I don't know because I told you we were talking about this too. I tried to show my daughters Monty Python.
They weren't
and
feeling
they weren't getting it.
Yeah.
And they usually have a pretty good ear for comedy. But you made a good point. The Monty Python is mostly a guy thing.
Yeah, only guys. That is my theory, that only guys like Monty Python and Steely Dan.
Right.
I mean, there are exceptions. But that's the
Right.
few and far between. But mostly, for some reason.
Well, Russian Three Stooges too. That was one early on. Three Stooges is one I was told that girls didn't like early on, and my girls don't like Three Stooges.
Three Stooges is, it's several steps away from.
Oh, it's very violent.
It's
not. We're talking about this too. It's not today's. You can't get by with any of that.
Yeah.
The pliers to the nose. There was a million things that happened
Yeah.
in that show where you're like, my girls are always like, Dad, how can you? Why would you watch this?
Yeah.
Why would you not watch this?
It seems like the Stooges led to Looney Tunes.
Right. So funny.
You
Something
know?
real led to a cartoon.
Yeah, like
You know what I mean?
wouldn't have Looney Tunes without the Stooges.
Yeah.
And the Stooges were doing that because they didn't have the animation to pull it off. And
Yeah.
But that's basically, you look at those three guys, and that's like, it's a Bugs Bunny cartoon that you're watching.
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's the violence that I grew up with. A
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that we grew up with, that you try to watch it now with the knowing what you know about the world now.
Yeah, you look back and the world's changed. You can't watch. Plus,
Certain movies have changed. Revenge of the Nerds
Yeah.
is not the comedy
Right.
it used to be.
No, that's not cool. Some of the John Hughes movies too are more. Well, there's before the ratings changed.
Yeah.
So you'll see. In fact, I showed the girls 16 Candles, and there's this scene where they drill a hole in the wall. Michael Anthony Hall's looking through the hole.
Is that Porky's or is that 16 Candles?
16
I don't think 16 Candles has a hole in the wall.
They have, he's got something. I think there's
I know he holds up the panties.
There's-
She gives him the panties.
There's
and he holds
definitely a
up the
John Hughes
panties.
movie where there's a shower scene. There's definitely that. I'm almost positive it's 16 Candles, and I want to say it's Michael C. Hall. I'm going to Google it while we're talking, because I remember watching the movie and explaining to the girls. They go, "This is John Hughes. You don't understand. I grew up in Chicago. This is legendary comedy back in the 80s. It was groundbreaking." So I'm telling my daughters all this, and then there's that shower scene, and they look at me, and they go, "Well, the ratings were a little different back then. You could get away with the shower scene."
And also, there was like a tit minimum. Do
What,
you
every scene
remember
had
in
to have
the
so many?
80s?
Yeah.
The 80s had like a tit minimum. Like every movie, and it's really Doug Kenny's fault, the guy who made Animal House, because that movie had a couple of really good tit scenes.
Yeah.
That if you're a young man growing up when the early 80s when that movie came out, you weren't getting that, you know what I mean? Like you went to the movies for that 2 minutes of screen.
No, you thought for sure. Yeah, you were excited. In fact, when they changed the ratings, very confused.
When I was a kid, my dad took me to the movies to see that movie DC Cab.
I remember that movie.
And there was a tit scene in it, and I just remember like feeling really happy that my dad took
you
me
to see
to
a
this
movie?
Yeah, like feeling like I'm being spoiled.
The first movie I ever did was a movie called Think Big that starred those Barbarian brothers.
Oh, really? They were in DC Cab?
Yeah, they were. That was their own movie. They're supposed to take off and be these guys.
Yeah.
They were in. Richard Mall was the heavy in that movie. Martin Mull was in that movie. It was my very first. I was an extra. I screwed up, and I almost got fired. It was great, but those guys were idiots. They were the worst. They could never remember their lines. They had to cut it down to 4 to 5 words at a time.
Yeah.
To make sure they could remember it. Even then, they couldn't.
Yeah,
they were having trouble with the shoot.
I couldn't remember any of their lines from that movie. I just remember that they were in
and
it.
Richard Mall was actually a really well-trained actor. He was Richard Mall, who played Bull in Night Court, was trained. He was an actor. So it was driving him nuts. He was like, I can't. This is making me insane. And these guys are the star of the movies. And we're all just trying to get through the day. And I'm just an extra. I don't know if you've ever done extra work on a movie. Yeah. It's the worst. It's 20 hours of standing around and walking by a car. And then you're like, can I go? No, we're not sure.
No.
What do you know? Come on, please.
One time,
and non-union is the worst.
One time I wasn't even the extra. My car was the extra.
Oh, that's
and I just had to drive around the same block for all day. Are you Googling that?
I am. It says,
trying to figure out?
I'm finding it. It says there was a shower scene. Here we go.
Is a 1984 coming-of-age comedy film. This stars Molly Ringwald, Michael Schofling, and Anthony Michael Hall.
I don't have 30 minutes for
The
this.
film
Let's go.
was written and directed by John Hughes in his directorial debut. And it's the first in a string of films by Hughes that centers on teenage life. The storyline goes that with the occasion all but overshadowed by her...
I don't think that this guy's going to get to the...
naked in the film. But it was because the point was that her character had bigger breasts than the other girls.
There is a shower scene. But it's not...
Which is why Breakfast Club gets an R rating, and this movie gets a PG.
Because she's in the shower with her... And the other girls that she's in the shower with has bigger boobs.
Right,
so
right.
they're showing the other girls' boobs.
That, right. Okay, so that's the deal.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I remember it
it's just that's.
I just
there
know
was
the
a
boobs.
there was a tit minimum. I'm telling you, in the 80s in the movies, there was a tit minimum.
I believe all those movies.
It's all of them had to show somebody smoking to get the money from the cigarette companies to make your movie.
Oh, really? Even
that's why every movie with you know what I mean. They're really pushing even Ghostbusters. There's like he's walking through the hallway. He's got a cigarette.
They're
in his mouth.
yeah. There's a great scene with Aykroyd with the cigarette hanging off his lip.
Christmas Vacation. Mm-hmm. She's sitting there chopping up vegetables and she lights up a cigarette. Like what? She's not smoking in any other part of the movie. All of a sudden, like you're just gonna force in this. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even think about the 80s still had that in it.
Yeah. 'Cause I know it was a big deal through, all the way through the 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
they were still
70s.
getting money for.
Well, they were finding different because they couldn't technically advertise anymore.
Yeah,
so they had to find a way to get in the
just
movies.
putting it in for a long time. You could get extra funding for your movie by putting cigarettes in it.
Product placement.
Yeah, Yeah, the cool character smokes.
Right, always. Yeah,
You know?
They went on forever.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, people bought that thing forever. Now you don't see movies. You don't see smoking in anything anymore.
No, it's gone.
Definitely not TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when we went to your cigar store the other day, just all of the like over every box of cigars was like a picture of a kid with leukemia.
Somebody's dying. This could be you. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you see those packs of cigarettes in Europe? You ever seen right on the pack?
Yeah, smoking kills.
Yeah,
like
it does.
all...
There's a picture of a lung. You're like,
Yeah.
ooh. Yeah. Yeah, so they get pretty point blank with the advertising now. But yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about that through the 80s. Yeah, it's funny how that changed, but you're right. My daughters watch that stuff, and they freak. You don't react to it right away. Like, did I mention to you the Wild Wild West, that scene, the cartoon scene, the opening? We were talking about it maybe the other day.
Well, we talked about it, but I don't remember.
There's a scene of Wild Wild West. It opens a cartoon. It's Robert Conrad. Great show about. It's a kind of a show, like almost like a science fiction.
No, I
show.
remember the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
The show. It was the step.
This is the show.
Was the show. They started in black and white, then it became colors around that time. But the opening is a cartoon segment where it's just him playing cards, winning a card game, drawing somebody, kissing a girl, and she reaches for a gun, and he grabs her
slaps
and
her.
punches her.
Yeah.
He punches her.
Yeah.
And my daughter's with me at the time, who's only like 6, and she looks at me. She's like, did he just punch that girl? I go, the cartoon? Yes, the cartoon guy punched. And I had explained to her why. And she's like, that's not right. I go, but she was going for her knife. And she's like, I don't care, Dad. You don't punch a woman.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that's okay? And I'm like, all right, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry. Especially with daughters, you're like, I look at it so, when they're young, I learned so much more when I had daughters.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with 4 brothers. And so girls
It's
maybe
funny
look at the world a lot
that you
different.
grew up with no sisters and then you had daughters.
2 daughters, right.
That's God laughing.
Oh, it is. It's totally God paying me back.
I grew up with a sister and I had 2 boys.
2 boys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's funny. It's helped me grow. I'll be honest with you. It's made me change a lot and probably look at the world a lot differently. If I had 2 boys, I'd probably be a lot different. I'm sure it'd be a lot different.
Well, either way, when you have kids, you got to worry about what you're going to look like through their eyes and try to be less of a piece of shit so that your kids don't think that you're a piece of shit. That's the idea.
The real parent, a good parent.
Well,
I think,
if you should have that. Otherwise,
I know parents who don't have that feeling.
Yeah.
And like this life, that's who I am.
And I meet people who don't have that, and I don't understand why they don't have that. But I just it wasn't anything that was in me before I had children, and I wouldn't know that it was good. When I meet other comics who have no kids, and they're just talking about how wonderful it is to not have kids and all their stuff, they don't understand what we get out of it.
The depth.
It's like they don't see this. It's like we're looking at something different.
No, totally. Also, you can never explain. Like when we first started having kids, we had a couple of friends that didn't have kids, and they would be like, "Well, here's what I think." They would add their input all the times, and I would go, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Well, but you're new to this. I go, yeah, I am, but I'm the parent here, and you don't understand what it's like. And I would have the argument. There's one friend of ours, she was very sweet, but she would stay, and I always like, you leave at 11 o'clock at night, or 10, or you go home, and we're here at 2 in the morning, at 3 in the morning when they're throwing up, or we're here in the morning, and we're here when they're going to school. I mean, you can't wrap your head around. You know what? Do you know AJ Lentini? Mm-mm. He's a Chicago comic. He was a writer mostly in LA when he moved there. He's a friend of mine. He's a good guy, but I always had a writer's job right when Anna was born, our oldest. Our wife was pregnant. It was 2011. It was right around 9/11. I had a writer's job that whole year. And AJ had 2 kids at that time. And he kept telling me, you're just not going to get it until you have kids. You don't know what it's like. And I used to get mad at him. Go, yeah, I think I did. I have brothers, like that. And I realized...
I have a dog.
Yeah, I have a dog. Yeah,
I have my dog.
I have a dog. I've taken care of
the
dog. And I used to do a joke. The joke was like nothing... the only thing that made me mad about AJ telling me that I wouldn't know till I had kids was when I realized I had kids and he was right. It made sense when I had kids. I go, Damn, you're totally.
Do you remember calling up your parents to apologize?
no, I never got along with my parents.
I've apologized.
Did you really?
I've apologized to my parents. Like, listen.
Here's the thing.
I'm sorry. I see it from your perspective now.
Remember that October in '76?
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm sorry.
No, but I have seen my face and my daughter's face when they've done something, or when they tell a lie or so. That's the best ones when they lie, and I'll be like, I instantly go, I can't believe I ever thought my mom would fall for this. I can't believe I ever thought this was going to work, and I would try to find the right way to explain it to them because they don't know.
Like, I invented that look. You thief! You stole that look from me.
You little hack!
My look. It's my shit. Come up with your own lies.
You. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but every bullshit story, like Lily's really big. Lily gets in trouble, and the lie just keeps going. And I'll let her talk sometimes forever. It's not so much. It was tougher when she was little, but she would just keep talking, like the Richard Pryor bit. And then I was running. I wasn't really running, and you just wait. You let them finish.
Just keep feeding them rope.
You just wait. They keep. They think the more they're talking, they think they're getting themselves out of it. And they're just falling deeper and deeper in the hole. But it's so I've seen that in my kids a million. And even now, at the age of 20, they'll do stuff, and I'll go, guys, you can't. That's not going to work.
Yeah,
you're 22 now, and now I'm more like you're 22. You got to stop. Yeah. You got to figure this out.
My son, he doesn't lie as much as he forgets shit.
Okay.
Just he leaves his $500 baseball bat at the field, or he'll leave his mitt, or he'll leave his iPhone. He just, like, I always do a joke, like, here's my son, like, here's the most important gem in the whole world, a squirrel. Like, he just cannot lose shit fast enough. If you give him something valuable, it's gone.
Bat thing's brutal because baseball's an expensive sport, bro. If you're buying good mitts and bats and stuff, and he's just leaving a bat somewhere.
And people steal them when you leave them there because it's expensive equipment.
Right, and no one's going to go, hey, did you leave a bat? Or some people might, but for the most part.
Yeah, you can go to the Lost and Found and hopefully it'll be there. And, sometimes nice people are there and they turn it in. But there's plenty of times that just like, there go those.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Well, it's too easy to see. We still write our name on everything. That was the thing, is put your name on it, give your name on it.
Yeah.
Because you can take it and just go, no, it's my Easton. I've had that for, whatever. And you can't, what are you going to do? You're a liar.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that too. But, there's a lot of kids and a lot of equipment. And sometimes they just grab the wrong thing when they're running out of the practice or whatever. But
Right.
Yeah, that's a big thing with my older son.
Well, that's a lot of things I'm going through with my daughters now. They don't understand. They can't comprehend the expensive things. So leaving a $500 bat somewhere is just forgetting something.
Yeah.
It's not leaving a $500 bat somewhere where you're like, what do you? That's a $500 bat.
Yeah.
I can't buy you those every month. That's you're gonna need that for a couple of years or whatever.
Yeah. It's things that are hard, and things in general are more expensive now. Just something that we can hold in our hands now is so much more expensive than when we were children. And you know what I mean? We didn't have a computer that we could hold in our hand.
Oh god! And the smaller
and drop
the
into
devices.
a toilet.
Yeah, and then you just lost $1,300 that's gone. Just oops.
Yeah.
And plus things cost more now anyway. I could buy a mitt for $20 when I was a kid, or $10. I used to get a $12 mitt at Kmart when I was a little kid, But you're right. And now everything's gotten smaller but more expensive. And it's not just, even with remember the iPod Shuffle, iPod Mini?
Yeah.
You could lose 4,000 songs if you didn't hang on to that thing,
Yeah.
And just gone.
My younger son, I showed my sons the movie Baby Driver.
Oh, that's a great movie, yeah.
So my younger son, his takeaway from that was, I want an iPod. Because the kid's on an iPod,
the whole time,
and that was such a window of time that those things existed.
Oh, what was the small one? The Shuffle was a small one, right?
Yeah, the Shuffle was the small one.
There was a mini.
But I like the one where you could see on the screen what you were listening to, because with the Shuffle you didn't have.
Right, I like the screen too, and there were two different ones, screen, and there were bigger ones, smaller ones, but there was basically. Yeah, they were cool. But you're right. It was only like a short window. Then we jumped
they
right
don't
to
have
phones.
them anymore.
Right.
They're still making them, but it's not. You gotta. The ones that they make now are 100 gigs. You can't just get a little crappy one for your kid.
My brother Scott has a couple and knows how to rebuild some of them. He's got a couple that are stored with music, and he pulls music on and off the computers and stuff. But he's got one of the old ones because they got as high as, did they get as high as 500 gigs or 250? I know they had 250.
Kept getting bigger and bigger. I remember the first one I had only held, 200 songs.
Right.
And I had to
And you had to rotate it?
I had to rotate which 200 songs they were. Yeah. I have a friend who, my buddy Tony, his wife always worked out. She always went on the treadmill with their same iPod that only held 200 songs. Okay. And so when she wasn't looking, he replaced all of the songs with 200 Golden Girls theme songs. So he would just be playing the Golden Girls theme song over and over. She said the first time through, she was like, it's funny. And then the next time...
Yeah. That's hilarious. That's really funny. I'd be really mad if I got halfway through a treadmill.
Thank you for being a friend.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
God,
I miss it. Now now you have to just have your phone, but it'd be I need to get one for my son that's just music, because he's 10 years old and he doesn't need a phone, but I'm sure that he would love to have an iPod.
Well, don't they have other? What do they still have? That what was that Windows one that was around for a while? That was around.
I wouldn't know how to load it now because I don't have.
Because all the music, everything is Apple.
You'd have to plug it into a computer that has iTunes on it, and then move all the.
Yeah, because these just download. Well, they all download from the internet now. That's what you do.
No, I just go to Spotify now. I just have all of my playlists on Spotify, so I just play the monthly and it has the playlist, and I can get literally any song in the world.
So I'll do that, man. When I'm in the ship, I listen to. I download stuff I downloaded. But what I listen to a lot. I've been listening to a lot lately. I listen to a lot of YouTube. It sounds weird, but I've been listening to the music from the Batman Arkham Asylum and Cyberpunk Blade Runner music.
Somebody else told me that they work out to that.
Yeah, well, I don't work out to it, but I'll work during the day. Like all day long, if you hear and here, I've been listening, especially here because we have, I don't know, I got the connection every day. So I did the 15 a day for the streaming or whatever.
Me too.
Wi-Fi. Okay, so you're connected. So I can play the YouTube, and there's 24 hours straight of Batman music, and I'll just play that.
Wow.
And I'll listen. I love it. It's from the Arkham Asylum or whatever.
And that doesn't make you anxious? It
No.
doesn't make you feel like you need to go fight crime?
No, it doesn't. No, it's not like six. It's not that,
No?
No, it's the systematic placement of it. I've been really listening to the what do you call it? The Cyberpunk, the Blade Runner stuff. That stuff has been really cool. History. Here we go. But this is bad. Ambient Cinema is the name of the page.
Okay.
And they'll do different scenes, different Batman music, superhero. This is the one I've been listening to the most. And this is like...
Oh, that's just like background. That's just like white noise music.
No, it is. But I've been but I'll sleep with specific white noise. That's just, I usually sleep with spaceship noise.
Yeah.
But then I listen to that during the day. But the Batman music is like, I remember I used to play Arkham Asylum.
And that's the music that plays while you're
long.
used to walking around with that anyway.
So, but I could play for back then I was playing 10 hours a night playing, gaming or whatever. But that music, I could put down the controller and go get something to drink or whatever, come back and the
music comforting to you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. My I try to show my son's music, and my son and my mom just went and saw the Bob Marley movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And he said that he wanted to see it because he heard it was really good, and I had been playing some Bob Marley for him because he just wanted to hear some. And
cool.
I think of Bob Marley as like the Beatles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that music, I don't remember a time where I didn't know the whole catalog by heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just so in my brain, and I realized that I hadn't really talked to my son about it or exposed him to that much of it. And so he went and saw the movie with my mom, and we were talking about it after, and he goes, I didn't realize he smoked so much weed.
Really? All right.
I go, don't ever say that again.
Don't say that out loud in front of anyone.
Don't ever say that. Like
that was the whole point for a while when we were younger. Man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
My kids have a good ear for music. They listen to everything from Sinatra to Stevie Nicks to my youngest listens to all kinds of stuff. She likes Rush, which is weird, but they have a real cool hip ear for music, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and they know what makes you happy. Yeah. And they know that, the mood is probably a better mood when certain music's on, and they see, since they were kids, they've seen this music making you happy.
Yeah, one thing I've always do with the kids, too, which a lot of parents don't do, when I'm in the car with the kids, I let them run the radio. Since they were little kids, I go, you play whatever you want to play, that's fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm fine, because I listen to talk radio a lot, or I listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
But then when they're in the car, I'll go, you guys can play whatever you want. And they usually play stuff, and I kind of like a lot of whatever they play. Every once in a while, they'll sneak in a song where I'll hear something like, slap on that, come on that bitch. I'm like, whoa,
hey,
and they'll do it on purpose. They're like,
Yeah.
They're just, I want to see if you're paying attention, Dad.
Yeah.
But Lily listens to, especially, besides that stuff I just played, any type of white noise background, what's it called, megahertz music, 537, 439, and it's calming music, it's different meditation music, and she listens to that stuff constantly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's playing in my house, it's playing in 3 different rooms, 3 different kinds, at all times. And when Lily gets in the car, she listens to it going to work.
Yeah.
It just helps her get grounded, So she's gotten me into that more than, that's how I ended up on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Just because of Lily.
Sometimes my son will latch onto a song and not listen to the lyrics or whatever. He really liked this one song and he wanted it to be his walkout music, and I can understand, because if you listen to the beginning of the song, how that would be kick-ass walkout music.
Yeah.
But it wasn't gonna work because of the lyrics.
The lyrics?
It was Personal Jesus.
Oh.
by the dung dung da dung.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah, it's but it's a great. It would be a great walkout song, but it's Personal Jesus, so it might be misconstrued.
Might be too much for Little League.
Yeah.
It's gonna put some people the wrong way.
Your own personal.
What does he say?
Jesus.
What does he say? Yeah, I can say
a little much.
All right, man. Dude, let's wrap this up. We're over an hour already.
Really?
Yeah. See, I knew this is going to be easy with you. This is great. Thank you for doing this, man.
You're
gotta
welcome.
do it again. We'll do it again when we're touring. Touring on a ship. Anything you want to plug it right to the camera. Social media. I don't care. Instagram.
The Dan Gabriel at Instagram, and that's it. Yeah, just
simple, easy.
Yeah, or Dan Gabriel. I don't know. Anywhere you get your jokes.
Anywhere you look for Dan Gabriel, anywhere you get your jokes.
Exactly.
All right, man. Dan, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. That was fun.
All right.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.